audible and visible? If you can just put in the chat box if you guys can hear me and see me. Okay, good. So, thank you everyone for taking out time from your busy schedule to attend this webinar, this very interesting webinar today. We actually started a kind of series from last time where we just initiated with some amount of AI tools which are around and focusing on scientific publications, and then we plan to take it ahead with small bits of information being able to share with the people who are interested, and also to get some insights from the participants and the others in the group. So, before we begin, just a very brief introduction about myself for people who don't know me and who are attending our webinar for the first time. I'm Dr. Namrata Singh. By qualification, I'm a pediatrician. I've practiced medicine for about 7-8 years and then became a medical writer about 15 years back. Founded Curacause about 10 years back, and have been, kind of working with various clients, industry, research institutes on projects around medical writing, scientific writing, commercial writing, medico marketing, and regulatory writing. So that is a very brief background. And when I'm based in the Netherlands, in a city, Utrecht, which is about half an hour from Amsterdam. That's where I'm based. And one of my passions, and I would say one thing which fires me a lot and which kind of motivates me, is how the business is changing and how things are evolving, and how medical writing as a career or as a business will change. And that is why we're doing these kind of initiatives, and these initiatives have actually there is a two pronged objectives behind it. One is definitely to share the knowledge with everyone, people who are interested, and second is that if we need to change anything internally, the way we are working, the way we are conducting our projects. So when you actually when I have to do a webinar like this, I go back, I read a lot, I discuss with my team a lot, and it kind of it motivates me to learn more and to share more. So that's what that's where we are, and I'm just going to be starting. I'll share the presentation with you and just take you through what I have collated for today's session. So as you see that we what we are going to do today is there was a previous webinar which we had done about 3 weeks back. If there are people in this group who did not attend that webinar, you can always reach out to us and let us know. We can share the recording with you. What we had done in the last webinar, we actually spoke about the guidelines which have come up for publications, especially related to ChatGPT and other generative AI tools. Then we would be talking about, we did a very small pilot project with limited number of people, around 10 people, voluntary. Like, I asked my team who would be voluntarily interested to explore certain tools, identified some tools, gave certain parameters to all of them, and they use this tool for just 5 working days. So it's not a very a lengthy experiment which we did. It was just for 5 working days, and with their current task and whatever project they were working on, they use these tools, and then they gave us their feedback, which we have tried to collate in this session. And then obviously the last part is going to be the Q&A session, where we will be discussing all the questions which you all have. Now, coming to the first poll, which I want to do for today, how many of you have worked in publication, whether you are currently working or you have, some published, some publications to your name, just to understand the audience. So we have a group about, I would say 50%, about half of the group today says that they have published, and about 20 to 23% where they've not yet published. Now, I'll briefly talk about the highlights of the last webinar, just to kind of align everybody to from where are we coming and what are we trying to do now. So our last webinar, we actually tried to see that how the generative AI tools can help researchers and academicians to publish their research, and like what can they do, like which tools are there, what can be used for content generation, and also what is the advantage of these AI tools over the conventional publication process. So how much time a normal publication takes, and can these tools help us to reduce the time, and also a bit on how the researchers are perceiving ChatGPT or other related tools, and why is ChatGPT becoming a threat to scholarly journals. So there were a lot of papers which were published where ChatGPT initially, when this all started, where ChatGPT was mentioned as an author, and then various journals came up with certain guidelines. So there were certain guidelines and recommendations we did share. So the authorship criteria by ICMJE, according to which a ChatGPT cannot be an author. Then there were guidelines by Lancet, World Association of Medical Editors, so WAME, recommendations on using ChatGPT as an author. So they were very clear about what the recommendations are, and there were certain other journals also which we had captured. Now, coming to the next poll, have any one of you used ChatGPT or a similar tool while working on publication, or any content, anything? Like if you've just explored any type of tool, just answer this. Okay, so it's a very, I would say a close tie between the two groups. So we have 36% saying yes and 38% saying no. So it's actually a very diverse group which we have today, and that makes the discussion more interesting. Now, all of us know that artificial intelligence and other tools around it, generative AI, large language models, so you would have come across all these terms, and they definitely have a potential to impact how we are how we are conducting our research and publishing it, and conveying it either to journals or to conferences, or maybe or as posters and abstracts. So we know that the potential is there, but then we have to use it very responsibly, and it cannot be. And when we talk about all those authorship, and what are the guidelines which various journals and associations are talking about using these tools, everywhere it is mentioned that the author is responsible for the correctness and the accuracy of the information which you're including. So we cannot get away with it, even if we have done the research or collated the information from using a generative AI tool. But ultimately, the correctness, for that the author is responsible, and you have to take complete responsibility, and you will be held responsible. You cannot at that time say that look, I took this, I used this tool, and the information which I received, I just put it in my paper. So we can't do that. So having said that, that is the background behind it. We know there are tools, we know there are multiple solutions available, and people are working on. There is a lot of development which is happening. Open AI, the APIs are available, people are developing various platforms and tools of their own. But then, having said that, I would say the main key message which everybody has to understand here is, we have to use these tools responsibly, and whatever information we are fetching from these tools have to be authenticated by a human being. So it cannot, that work cannot be done by any machine. Now, coming to our pilot project of what we did. Now, what were we trying to do? We were trying to explore the usefulness of generative AI, especially in scientific publications. And then we considered the text here, as well as some image tools also, where, because when you're working on publications, you might need to prepare images. You might need to maybe, prepare a poster or an infographic or a graphical abstract. So we did, explore both the parts of it. Our objectives were twofold. So one is, obviously, we wanted to evaluate whether using these tools is going to enhance our efficiency or not, that the work which we are doing. And it has to be somewhere, it has to be error free also. What is the percentage of errors which we are getting? So efficiency and error, both we try to evaluate. And second was definitely the time which we were spending. So was it helping the writers, helping our team to be free and maybe get involved in other activities, or maybe that additional time, what a writer can save, can or the team can save, can it be used in something else which is more constructive, and which is more, which helps the company and the team in an overall development. We call this initiative, so we kept a name which was AI and Medical Writing Brain Trust Team. So this was the name of the team. It was a multidisciplinary team consisting of about 10 people. We started this project on 8th of May this month. And if you see, the group was very diverse. There were 5 medical writers, 2 technology experts, 1 graphic designer, and 2 project managers. So this was the group. So it was a very diverse group. It was not only the people who were writing or creating content, but then the technology expert actually used to provide us the names, how to use it. And if we were, we faced any difficulty, they were the ones to help us. Designers largely worked on the part of the designing, and then project managers overall, like how can we use this, and they also used the tool and gave their feedback. Now, our approach was that initially the technology team, they identified certain tools. I think we evaluated around 25 or 30 tools initially, and then we made this group, and it was a completely voluntary activity. So the team at Eurocause is about 100 and when I asked them, I said, you have to volunteer yourself. And I would like to kind of add a point here. So all the people who volunteered were the ones who were at entry level or junior level or mid level. Surprisingly, I didn't find many senior team members. Maybe this is where all of us have to understand that we have to unlearn and relearn certain things, and we cannot just be complacent at this stage, that fine, I am a manager, I'm a lead, and I'm doing all these projects and I don't need to learn anything else. So this is something which I would want to make a note here. The number of days what we ran this project was just 5, and then we compiled the results and compiled the feedback. Now, the parameters, what we discussed, I have told you. So we actually considered 3 activities here which are used in publications. One is obviously literature search, which is from where, any paper begins. The second is summarizing the scientific literature paper. Sometimes, we don't have enough time to go through the whole text and full text article and just to come out with whether our research question is a part of that paper or not. And third was images, infographics, and posters, anything that we could make a change there. Now, these are the 4 tools which we used, which we try to evaluate. So Elicit is one, then there is Size Summary, Bing Image Creator, and Venngage. So these 4 tools we tried to evaluate during this activity. The parameters what were conveyed to everybody to give their feedback on these tools: convenience to use, because if you are trying to adapt a new technology, new platform, anything new in a company, it has to be very convenient. It cannot be something which is very difficult to start using. Second parameter here was, does the tool have any impact on ongoing tasks? Now, if the writer feels that I am taking, say, in literature search, I am taking 10 hours to do the literature search for a given project, and this tool is helping me to do the same work in, say, 1 hour or 2 hours, and then I'll have more time to go through the papers, and maybe the manual part, I'll get more time to sit on those papers, read it, and see whether the results which I'm getting are appropriate or not. If yes, to the impact, then how, like, then they had to, this was a descriptive one where they had to tell that how was it impacting their ongoing task. Then the fourth one was challenges. What were the challenges which they faced while using the tool, and also if they had any proposed suggestions or solutions which they wanted to convey. Now, coming to Elicit, this is actually a AI research assistant tool which is powered by ChatGPT 3.5, and it is specifically designed to search and summarize data information. Now it actually works on semantic similarity. So even if your key term is not there but something similar to it, if your question does not include the exact term, it fetches the similar terms also. Like for an example, I mentioned here meditation. If you want papers about meditation, it will also give you paper about mindfulness. So, and it automatically searches forward and backward in the citation graph. So now, as we, what is artificial intelligence? It is that if we give something to the machine, it comes up with some information, and you, if you feel that these two articles are good articles for me, then you feed that again to the tool, and then the articles around those two articles will be given to you. So then I would say the spectrum becomes lesser, and it is more concise, and it is more precise. It reads the abstracts and generates a custom summary which is relevant to the question. Now, many of us have felt that when we are doing a literature search, if we are only relying on the abstract for the research question information to be in the paper, sometimes because the abstract is written by the author where they feel what their key message is, but sometimes there are certain results in the paper which the abstract might not have captured. So this tool actually helps to give you a custom abstract which is aligned with your research question. It enables customization of what you see about the paper and organizes papers by that information. So like you can organize papers in terms of all the safety papers together, all the efficacy papers together, all the prevalence incidence papers together. So that all those things you can do. It also allows to save and export the data as CSV or BIP files, and it is also integrated with reference manager like Zotero. So I was not able to find whether it is integrated with EndNote or not, but I'm sure it must be. But what was mentioned on their website, they only mentioned about Zotero, and we have not checked this part of the activity for this tool. Now, the results, if you see the results, so convenience to use, it was 90%. So you see these terms here: awesome, excellent, super useful. So they don't have any quantitative meaning here, but there were certain terms which the team members used when they had to give the feedback of the tool. 100% people said that the tool is going to have an impact on the ongoing task. Around 60% of them, you can say that the percentages are very it was a small group. So 60% here is 6 people who are saying that they face challenges. And then they also gave certain suggestions, and certain, so they said that about half of them said it's a valuable tool and we can continue working on it, and the other half, so you say it's a 50-50% kind of a verdict here. The other 50% said that we should go and search for other generative AI tools also for this activity. Now, just this is a quote which I found on their website. So Elicit helps with but does not automate literature reviews. So it's just going to support you. You cannot automate the whole literature search by using this tool. It's going to support you. It will reduce your work, but then complete automation is not possible. And another point which I want to make here is, these tools are never good for a systematic literature review. It is fine for a narrative review because you are not doing the research very systematically there. But when you have to do a systematic research for systematic literature reviews or meta-analysis, that is where currently this tool is not, will not be much useful. But yes, for summarizing the text if you want, and you can use, bits in bits and parts, the tool. Now, ways in which it helped, the ongoing task. So it displayed multiple articles, and also along with the article, they were giving a 1 to 2 line summary which was related to the research question. So that way, screening the articles became easier. Summary of the articles was super useful. It saved a lot of time. And another thing, it was actually generating every time when you are putting an article there and asking it to summarize, there were various versions of summaries which were coming. So here, how it can be used to our advantage is, if you want a summary, say if you want the article to be summarized in 1 to 2 sentences, it can give you. If you want the article to be summarized in say 200 to 300 words, it can give you that. But you'll have to tell them specifically around which area. And also like long form summaries also can be done. And second very important point which we have to remember here is, if you are working for so you have a lot of patient related communication which is becoming a regular part of publications now. So the publications have a patient centricity where it has to be integrated. There are lay summaries which have to be written for publications. There are various company websites, or maybe there are these registries where lay summaries have to be uploaded. So if you want your paper to be summarized in a way where a lay person can understand, or where the target audience is a lay person, that can also be done. So these are certain advantages of this tool. Now, what were the challenges? The biggest challenge, which our team faced, and which I also feel is worth mentioning here, is when you asked the tool to summarize an article, the numerical values were not being captured. So very simple numerical values like incidence, prevalence were coming, but then when you come to some advanced statistical analysis and results, the tool was not able to capture them in the summary. Any data from the table was they were not able to capture it. And most papers, they actually mention that they have used semantic scholar, which is a database which has about 200 million papers, and the whole size of this database is about 50% of Google Scholar. So it's not, they have not yet integrated with PubMed, or though there may be certain papers which are there in PubMed as well as semantic scholar, that is why we came across them. But then if you are only going to use this tool for the literature review, it will not fetch all the articles which may be there on the topic. Not all the paraphrase sentences convey this correct meaning. So again, if you're asking it to paraphrase, you have to be careful about whether the paraphrase content which you have received is a proper interpretation of the text in the paper. Tool is in early development phase, so they do mention that it's in early development phase, so you have to be cautious here. Now, some of the suggestions which came to us from the team, so there are other better options like size summaries, another tool which can be used. It can definitely be used to get a basic skeleton structure, and then one can build up on it. So but this is not a final, I would say, table of content or information which has to go into a paper. So it can support you, but then you have to go beyond it, use your own subject matter expertise, and then try to find. Also, another point which one of our team members came across was that when we mention the brand names here, so the information was not getting caught, and but when we use the generic name or the molecular name, then we were able to find the papers. I think this is true for all the other databases and data engines, search engines also. Now, the challenges what we faced with Elicit, and what is our take on it. So as I mentioned, it is a work in progress from Elicit, as well as what all we have evaluated till now. Data authenticity, obviously we are not sure about data authenticity, especially when we are getting a summarization from these tools. The testing which we did was for a very short time, and it was very limited, and we need better understanding of the tool to be able to give any concrete suggestions. Coming to the second tool, which was size summary. So this is actually powered by ChatGPT 3.5 and 4. So you can see the difference. So that was only ChatGPT 3.5, but this has 4 also with it. Now it summarizes scientific research articles by creating short, medium, or long summary. So depending on where you want to use the summary, you can select that. It's a free tool. If the word count is more than 6,000, and if the word count is more than 6,000, then it is chargeable. The Elicit tool is completely free. There is no subscription to that tool. The monthly fees is about $5 a month, and this if you take the subscription, you can use it for 1 million words. Article can be submitted either as a PDF or a link or a copy paste option. And it also gives an option of generating key points, that what are the key points of this paper, simplifying the text, summarizing the text, and provides future scope of the topic also. So if you want to know that what this article has, what is the future scope, how is it going to make a difference in research or medicine, it can give, certain insights there also. By using the right prompts, it may reveal all the details in the research paper. So it actually, it's very important here, here to understand that what are we asking the tool. if we are asking the right answers, we right questions, we will get the right answers. But if we are not, if we are very vague in our questions, then probably we may not get, very specific answers. It might save a lot of time, maybe hours, depending on, how much we are using it and till what extent we can use it on any project. If you see here, one difference between elicit and sci summary in our team was, so we had 10 people who were using it. About, I think, 3 or 4 of them did not give any feedback on this. So project managers, graphic designers, they did not have any feedback on this. So you'll have to, understand the results which you're seeing here. This is not from complete 10 subset, 10 set of the people who were part of this experiment. So 80% said it is convenient to use, 60% said yes, it will, have an impact on the ongoing task, 70% had challenges, so it was slightly, I would say, more difficult tool to use. And they said, like, 60% of them did say that it was a valuable tool, but then we have to understand that 40% there was no feedback at all. Now, the just to summarize, so it saved a lot of time by providing proper summaries. This was something which was good in this tool. Again, it was may not always be accurate, and especially for articles with, technical jargon or complex terminology. There, maybe, the machines are not yet prepared, or they need, more fuel to come up with, better answers there. Leaves out key points while summarizing it in short version if the summary is chosen. Does not provide summaries for very long articles. So if it's more than 2000 words or so, then the summaries don't come, and they're not very appropriate. Not efficient enough for data heavy articles like systematic review, statistical data. Some hyperlinked words give irrelevant information. Now, the suggestion which came to us from our team was, it can be used for small articles or review articles. But if you have a larger article, say 4,000 words, 5,000 words, not a very, good tool to use. Now, the challenges, we were not very sure about data authenticity, what we are getting from there. We tested for a very short period of time. We wanted to explore it. Summarizing articles at bulk. So if we wanted to summarize more articles, we needed a paid subscription. The free limit was about 38,000 words per month. So this is about SciSummary. Now, coming to the image generating tools, there are two tools which we evaluated here. One was Bing Image Creator. This is powered by DALI, and it generates logos, images, icons, vectors, depending on, what prompt are you giving. It might reduce medical writers dependence on graphic designers to create, basic tools, and they don't have any copyright issue. And the graphic designers efficiency can be increased, so they get, more design ideas, or maybe sometimes, they might get a design which they may be able to use. So we tried the usefulness when we tried to do it, from a publication document. Then maybe, it can be posters or infographics, or sometimes, we also have to use so in publications there is a trend which is coming up, which is graphical abstract. So if you have to, maybe if it's a paper related to mechanism of action, then, some visual input there would make the paper better, and, have a greater reach here. The results were convenience to use. It was definitely there. Any impact on ongoing task? No. So this is something where it's, very interesting. There were challenges. 100% everyone had challenge. I think why we face challenges here is because the larger set of group were medical writers who are not very, comfortable, or maybe efficient in using these tools for graphic designing. And there are certain, other tools which can also be evaluated. Now, what's very important here is we should have a current prompt creation, limited spectrum of choice. So only 4 images at a time was what we were getting. The most of the images were 3D images, so we may not be able to use these images in the scientific, context. Does not create GIFs, and challenging to generate special images for broad topics. So we work around, health, medicine, and drug development. So there we found that it was very challenging. Does not interpret numbers in the prompt, does not always identify the population. So you can see that the list of challenges was pretty big here. And some proposed solutions can just be used for maybe ideation, give us some ideas, more suitable for general design purpose, but not for a scientific content, or where you have to convey mechanism of action or maybe a process. Better to use other sites which use, so if you're using like free images from various, or maybe a subscription of Shutterstock or something like that can also be used here. Now, just to kind of tell you what some examples of the work which we did here. So the first image, if you see, which where you see some certain viruses, so the prompt here was for a antibody related image, but then you see that the image which came to us was viruses. The second one, we mentioned 80% of corona incidents or something. So it was actually 80% was captured as 89%. And corona infection was a different language actually came, it was not even in English. And the below two ones were for glaucoma surgery and for eye surgery. So like we did not, the team did not find the tool to be very good for scientific images and for scientific use. This is just a very interesting activity which one of the team members did. So they wanted to try out about logo, or maybe some brand design or something like that. So they put Turacos there, and this is what we got. So the spellings were wrong. They were not able to judge what does it mean, and so the logos and the images were not very relevant. So we know that correct prompt is obviously important. We tested for a very short period of time, does not give too many options, only 4 images. So there are tools which give more options, and the images which were being generated were unrealistic, and something which we were not able to use, we will not be able to use in a scientific context. The last tool which we tried to evaluate was Vengage. It offers a variety of creative templates and visuals to create beautiful infographics, posters, diagrams, mind maps, and presentations. Allows to create graphs, tables, charts, and other visual aids, and also has an option to create videos. So if you people are working in the publications area, you will know that now when you are submitting a poster or when you're submitting a paper, there is an option that you can upload a video explaining the whole paper and explaining the abstract in a video form. Again, can supplement and replace a creative designer, can save time, can suggest some design options. Now, what did we find? So, convenience to use, definitely it's there. Uh, 60% said it did have an impact on the ongoing task, which was pretty, like I would say, an improvement on the last tool. And 100% faced the challenges, and 60% did suggest some other. So 60% they said it's a valuable tool. 20% said that try another generative AIs, and 20% of them did not give any feedback on the designing part. What was our experience? So delivered projects in half the time, as few assets like could be generated very fast. So small images like thank you notes or invites, or when you are attending a conference, if you want certain email to be created, or maybe a image to be created, you can do that. Some fantastic infographics could be created, provided attractive designs for posters. So for poster, it could be a good option. Challenges, we could not judge it because everybody was not using this tool. Not all sections are editable in free version, so you will require a paid version here. Majority of good templates were paid, not allowed to download your creations in free versions. These were some of the challenges. Would be a good option, like if we go ahead and take a subscription and then more number of people use it, then probably we will have a better I would say a better outcome here, and maybe what whether it is useful or not. Now, coming to an overall kind of a summary of what we did. So results obviously are dependent on the correctness and the appropriateness of the prompts. Authentic data has not yet been verified. So whatever information we are getting, always you have to go back, check, recheck whether it is giving you a proper information or not. Data security is definitely a challenge here, because all these tools are learning based on the data which we are providing them. So anything which is confidential, which has a proprietary license, or you've done a research. So I would advise you not to put that data. Even if you know you are writing an email and trying to get a draft from these, don't put the names, don't put the email IDs there. If there are any names of products or any name of companies which are mentioned, don't mention all that. So all this will actually, your data can be used by somebody else since it's in public domain. So that is a real, fear. And I would, advise everybody to be very cautious in this. um, and then as you know, everybody is saying now AI cannot replace humans, but using AI might replace humans who don't use AI. So that is why it's important for us to educate ourselves, to learn, and to start interacting with each other about what can be done and what cannot be done. So instead of looking at AI tools individually, it is, it's better to look at the team of AI tools which can work for you. So something which is working for us may not work for you, something which worked for you may not work for us. It all depends on our individual roles. Use a right prompt. So I will be, I'm actually planning a short workshop soon, and I will let you know. So we are working on it, on the prompt engineering and how to give these prompts. So this is actually the crux and the key of using these tools. AI tools lack human creativity, intuition, critical thinking, and hence cannot replace. So somebody who's a subject matter expert who understands everything, so that cannot be duplicated by these tools and by the AI, by the artificial intelligence or machine learning. Now, going ahead, like we are actually we have identified 5 tools which we will now continue exploring, and we will try to kind of compare them with the ones which we discussed today in this webinar. So it's connected papers site. So these 2 tools are for literature search, then Iris and Smodin, which is for summarizing and paraphrasing, and Adobe Firefly, which is actually a licensed tool. This will be for images which our designers are using. So then we are going to compare it with the tools which we have. Now it gets, interesting here. Now, if any one of you in the group today would like to join with us and help, and let's explore it more of what all we can do, because as a company, as a team, there are certain projects on which we work, so our knowledge is limited by what we are working on and our own experiences. So if you are interested in joining us, kindly contact Neha Niharika, who's worked with me on this experiment, who's actually helped me create the content for this slide presentation. She's a medical writer with us. So please contact on this email ID if you are interested to be a part of this interesting, project. And our team will get to you with the rules and regulations by next week. And then we plan to have this activity for 15 days. And then we will have the next set of webinar, which will be somewhere in June end. The dates will be announced, closer to when we have started collating the results. And then we'll see that what we are getting. So we will have certain people from our internal team who actually worked on all this assignment. They will also be there, and some external, group we are trying to create. So you can just let me know how many of you are interested to participate in this initiative. Okay. So cool. So we have a very good percentage, around 34, 36% people are interested, and the more the merrier, because this is something, where I would say the picture has just started. It's just in a trailer stage now, and we really don't know what's going to happen, how it is going to impact us. So it is the right time to kind of, participate and at least make an effort to understand, talk to others in your company, in your peer, in your, your institutes, and initiate the discussion around it. So this I've already mentioned. So we have, like, by end of June we will be having a follow-up webinar where we will discuss about all this. Okay, so this is already done. Okay, so now coming to a very interesting, insight which I am looking for from all of you. Do you want us to explore, or there is any tool on which you have worked and you have some experience to share with us? If you can just mention in the chat box, because we could not have an option here. The option for survey were only, they were objective and we were not able, we will not be able to collect the subjective answers there. But if you can just, maybe put in the chat box of any tool that which on which you have worked on, and our team will be collecting the information. So you can, just keep mentioning and keep putting uh, your tools in the chat box so that we can collect them. Just before we end, so we do have a training which is coming up. We do actually a lot of these trainings, and now if you see how we have changed, so we do these sessions almost every 4 months. So we have two training programs. One is on scientific writing, the other one is in medical communication, and it's alternately that we launch it. So when we were sitting with the agenda last week, and we realized that, there are so many tools which are coming up in scientific publications, we decided to revise the agenda, and this is the agenda how it looks like for the next course. And since it was aligned with the topic which we are talking today, I, decided to put it up here. So uh, it's a 8 week course, and starting on 3rd of June, it's there till 22nd of July. It's a CPT accredited training course. So by accreditation is taken by, we've taken that accreditation from a UK body, CPD, Continuous Professional Development. And week one, we will talk to you about the AI tools in scientific publication. So this is all, based on what experiences we've had, and all these pilot projects which we are doing. So somehow we will come up with, some tools which all of us can use. Week two is on literature search and referencing. So there we are going to mention about the AI tools for literature search. Week 3 and week 6, where we talk about introduction and discussion, we will, include the summarizing and paraphrasing tools here. And plagiarism also, plagiarism we have not included yet. I did see, some comments in the chat box, so we might, decide to add a plagiarism tool also. And then result section, if it is, creating graphs and tables using AI tools, because this is something where I've seen a lot of writers, a lot of authors facing challenges. And then obviously the other topics, which are methods section, journal submission, and recent trends and publications. So when we talk of recent trends, there are, there is a technology which we use, data vision. So there are, publication management tools. And also there are certain trends, which is patient centricity. How are we doing that? Digital enhancements like videos, audios, which can be done. So this is a very interesting program which we have created. So just thought of sharing it with you. If you people are interested, just let us know. Maybe, if you want the team to contact you, or you want to contact us, whatever works for you, we fine with that. So it will be good to have a good participation from the industry for this course. So good. We do have a lot of people who are interested to know more about the course. So what we can do is we can share the whole agenda with you. We can tell you who the trainers are, what we are doing, and, how we plan to do it. It's actually a live online course or session which is there every Saturday, and for 8 weeks it's going to be there, unless it's something, a very a public holiday or something, or a very important festival which comes up in between, we might not have a session that week. Otherwise it's consecutive 8 weeks, June and July, when we will have them. And we have mentorship and, proper assignments on which you will be working on with others, and then all the assignments are checked by medical writers, experienced medical writers in the company. Okay. So this is done. Now we reach the interesting part where I'm going to be taking all the question and answers, and you can, so there is a Q&A mode which is activated. So just, I would request all of you to put your questions there, and each question will come on the screen. What are the AI tools that can be used for scientific writing? So we did mention some of them in the session. We are exploring some others. Uh, one caveat here would be that it will not replace scientific writing as such. It can only support you. So that is something which you have to be very careful about. And also the correctness and the authenticity of the information which are including, that is our responsibility, that is your responsibility. The tools will not take the responsibility for that. Can you tell us with example of a proper way to search a topic for research? So this actually, this is how the prompts are made. And if you want to do if you want to get some ideas, so what you can do is, you can read what recent papers are coming out in your area, in your field, and then kind of fetch a number of keywords from those titles, and then try to search what you are getting, and you can get some ideas there. So for ideation, these tools are really good. So they, you can obviously use them just to get ideas on what research you want to do, but for that you will have to give inputs like which disease area or which domain, which geography, which type of patient, or what type of lab results are you looking at. So you will have to give all these inputs to the machine. What is the general position of journals regarding publication generated by AI? What percentage is acceptable, if any? So AI is just used as a tool for journals and for publications. None of the journal is accepting AI as an author. So you cannot put AI as an author, because AI is not responsible for the content. AI is just collecting information which is already there and then interpreting it on its own. So that's there. Second is, you have to acknowledge if you're using a tool. So this, every journal is saying you have to acknowledge. Now, like when we write a paper where we are mentioning the method section, we write there that if we are using a tool, or if we are using a apparatus, or maybe something in the method, then we give what model it is, where was it used, what is the build, and what is the technology behind it. So similarly, when you're using a AI tool, or if a AI tool has supplemented you in some part of your work, you have to mention that in the method, that which tool you used, what was the contribution of that tool, and then how did you kind of check that the information which was shared by the tool was correct. So this is something, what percentage is acceptable. You can write a whole paper by AI, if that's what you mean by this. That doesn't, it doesn't make a difference to the journals or to the publishing houses, but you have to uh, disclose, you have to mention which tool you used, and also mention the role of the author in checking the authenticity, checking the correctness of the content which was given and created by the AI tools. I hope I've answered your question. How can a researcher maintain a balance between using AI tools and upholding the originality of their work? So the work is always original. See, when we say, when we are writing a method section for any paper, we always say that the method should be written in such a way where it can be reproducible by some other researcher who wants to conduct the same research in their maybe institute, or in their country, or in their region. Now the balance will be that AI tool is just helping you. AI tool is not replacing the originality, or it may give you some ideas, but then what you decide depends on you, depends on what type of research you have done till now, which the AI tool will never be able to predict unless you include that in the prompt. So you might have written in a prompt that you give me some ideas on, say, diabetes and this, and you can put exceptions also there, except all these which you would have done in the past. Then you may get some ideas which are more relevant. So having said that, I think there is no, I don't see this as a balance between the two, but it is just a tool, it is just a machine which we are using to our own benefit. So ultimately it is for us to decide how we are using, how much we are using. And the journals itself, or maybe the publishing houses itself, they have very set criteria, and you can just visit the journals and see. In case you are not getting anything on any journals website, then you can always refer to the author's guideline for ICMJE, whether the tool, whether how you can how you can acknowledge it. And also the World Association of Medical Editors, which have mentioned that what all an AI tool can do and cannot do in a journal. AI detection software, I know it is prone to false positive and starting to being used by clients to evaluate our work. Yes, that is there, but I don't see a very, I would say, a important point here to make, because we know that AI is there, and I think rather than checking whether the information is generated by AI or by or a human generated content, we should check the correctness and the authenticity of the content. Because see, we cannot avoid the AI entering our lives and entering our workspaces and everywhere. So it is there and it is going to be a part of us. So rather than fighting it, or maybe trying to find whether the content is written by AI or not written by AI, I think it makes more sense in maybe checking the content, checking the correctness, checking the appropriateness of the content, where the focus should be more. There are certain publishing houses who are coming up with these tools, where so what they'll do is, maybe they'll check whether it is AI generated content, and if the author has not put a disclaimer there or has not disclosed, then maybe they can go back and they may reject the paper because of the falsification of information. So that is possible. But if you check it and you find that it is AI generated content, the author has mentioned, yes, I use this AI and this is what I've done from it, that's okay. I don't see any problem happening there. No, Elicit tool does not require a subscription. Currently it is free of charge. For images of biological samples, are there any tools to detect duplication? Darshana, I'm not aware of it. So maybe, this could be one of the assignments for us. So we will try to find out and maybe reach out to you with the answer. I'm not aware of this. We did not check actually for duplication for the images. Any AI tool for statistical analysis? I'm sure they must be there. We have not yet evaluated, because for statistical analysis, I would not suggest you to go for any AI tool, especially if it is in the public domain, because when you're doing analysis, obviously you're putting your proprietary and your research data there, which is not advisable at this stage, unless you have something which is built with secure environment, which is built in your organization, in your company, which you can use. But at this stage, I would not advise this. What is the best way to collaborate in research projects related to this topic? You can just reach out to us. I've mentioned the email ID where you can write to us, and you will be receiving the recording. So our team would be, they will start reaching out to you and sharing some information with you. You can just let us know and we will, include you. As I told you, the people who show interest, so I would, request all of you to show your interest by say Monday or Tuesday next week, so that we know what is the number and from what. And when you are showing an interest, just mention two things here. One is your current role, what you're working on, and any specific tool that you want to give us feedback on, because I know that everybody cannot give feedback on all the 5 tools which we are planning to evaluate. Is there any tool for writing discussion part and result part? So not complete. So as I mentioned, for a scientific writing, you will not have any tool which is complete in itself and or which can automate. But like when we talk of discussion part, what do we need in a discussion part? We want the author to read a paper and to summarize it and then present it according to the result. So that partly can be done by these tools. In result part, how the tools can use it is same tools which we mentioned today. It is Elicit, size summary. So these are certain tools which you can maybe test and explore, where you can create tables, you can create figures, you can create images by using a tool. There is not one tool which fits everything. So you will have to experiment and see, and maybe explore more. Do you know if pharma or medical device companies are already using AI tools for medical information? For regulatory writing, it's a very, I would say, advanced stage. But for publications, because I think regulatory writing, the first time when I heard of automation or an artificial intelligence templates and tools was way back in 2014-15. So since then, we do have certain templates. We have many companies who are working on regulatory writing, on automation and AI tools. That's there. Medical information I'm not aware of. I'm sure they must be there, but again, medical information is something. So all these tools, for especially for regulatory writing or medical information, they would be proprietary tools which these pharma or maybe medical device companies have developed from scratch. They would have taken some inputs from all these tools which are freely available. So now it is beyond the topic what we are discussing today, but definitely a very interesting topic, and where all of us have to keep our eyes on. But then this is something which is more like it's a company policy, or maybe what a company decides to do, because this information is all very confidential. It cannot go on public domains. So there it all depends on how big the technology team is, how much of innovation a company is doing. And I'm sure regulatory writing, a lot of tools are definitely there, and people are using it. How can we verify privacy of our shared data? You cannot verify, and you should not be putting data on these tools. You should not. No, not neither patient data or research data or your personal data. That should not go. Interpretation of the data. So as I did mention in these tools, when we're talking about the numbers, the numerical values, or the advanced statistical, results which are there, so they are not being captured very well by the summarization tools. And so same like interpretation. If you talk of a very top line interpretation, you will get, but then you will have to check whether what the tool is interpreting. And the worst thing here is, if you put the same paper in a tool and try to summarize it multiple times, every time it is not the same summary which you are getting. So you may get a couple of summaries which are correct, and then you may get a wrong summary also. So currently it's not replacing what you're doing, but it is supporting you. Then you do a check at your part, and then you confirm whether the information which is there is correct or not, and then you go ahead and use it. So that's what it is. Okay, so that's all from my side. If there are no further questions, maybe I'll pause for a couple of seconds and see if you're getting any more questions. AI tool for statistical results. So we talking the AI tools which we are exploring now. They all are available. They are publicly available. So I don't think that we can trust these tools for statistical analysis. Maybe that is a topic for another webinar and maybe another session. If there is nothing else, then I would like to close the session today. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for giving time to coming to this session, and listening to what we have. And also I'm looking forward to getting some very varied and good volunteers for this project, which will help all of us to learn more about this fast evolving field, and how it can have an impact on our working and our day to day practices. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone, and have a pleasant week ahead. Take care.